Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. So today we're going to be looking at a question, which I believe asking questions are going to pretty much help us get to the bottom of things. We've basically asked the question, when are the developers going to drop this new content? When are they going to talk to the community? Who's working on the content? What do we expect? And the developers have been in their own capacity dropping, I would say more updates as time has gone on. And if you guys remember though, the very first portion of this update was basically a statement from an executive that was in a sense kind of forced out of the mouth of that exec from the investors. For those of you who know how this business thing work, I know some of us are customers and consumers, but the investors usually come first on the on the pecking order, and the customers usually come last. I've said this, I don't know if I've said this before. If you believe or think that a corporation really does care about you, I would say you're in for a big surprise, because I don't necessarily think that is quite accurate. I think gaming is one of the industries where at least we still have some level of communication about the product with the with the consumer. If you look at most other industries, I don't think they asked me if they were going to change the packaging for Dawn before they actually changed it. They probably did a focus research group thing, and then they launched the product. And I was walking down the aisle looking for, where's the Dawn soap? I can't find it. Well, they changed the packaging. Nobody told me. So I think gaming is actually one of those that, we actually see that communication go on. But here's the question, why is this division content so far? Why is it coming at the helm of, the end of the 2021 cycle? What has gone wrong? I've been criticized for actually saying that I believe the developers when they say that COVID really did hit them. I've gotten comments. People have said, I had to do my job during COVID, and I've worked from home, and I've been able to meet my deadlines. And I say, great. I've also had the opportunity, as well, to work during COVID from home, and I've also met my deadlines as well. But I've not necessarily ever compared my job to what a game developer does, because everybody has a dynamic way they work. And in fact, tech writers, from just some of my reading, have criticized game development process as slightly inefficient. In fact, the word that this author used in writing and describing game development, or I think it was a video or something, they said the game development process is quite archaic, in the sense that they do things that they've just been doing for the longest time, and not a lot of innovation has really gone into the process of developing. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's because there's so many spinning wheels to the entire enterprise. I think that would be the case. You have to depend on hardware. You can't necessarily set up all these standards for yourself. You have to basically, you're at mercy of so many other factors, I believe. Say compared to, say Microsoft Windows. Microsoft can say, if you don't have these specs, don't run Windows 10. If you make your game, you are at the mercy of somebody who's using perhaps a setup that may not necessarily be the best way to run your game. And what do? You just have to work until you're able to get the game working on that setup. So these challenges are just a few, but I think it doesn't necessarily answer the question. What's going on? And why is this division content coming down the road? Could it be that management, misdirection, or whatever? I could say maybe, but those, factors I'm not aware of, neither are many people aware of. We can make guesses and conjecture, but we can also look at the overall gaming industry to see what might be going on in the division. This is one way that we kind of do it. You gotta have to look around and get clues and say, okay, do these apply? And I think the answer is kind of, sort of, yes. Now let's take a look at basically the delayed games for 2021 so far. I'm gonna try my best to go through this list in order of relevance. I'm not gonna start from the top. In fact, I want to start from here. This is one of the games that was basically announced for 2021, but has basically received a slight delay in announcements. Now, why am I coming to Riders Republic, and why is it even relevant to the division? This game was developed by Ubisoft Annecy. Ubisoft Annecy is a studio of Ubisoft that actually designed the Iron Horse Raid. And I remember during the Ubisoft Forward event, this was actually one of the games that was announced, actually around the same time that Yannick announced that we were going to be having the Codename Nightmare event, which eventually got canceled and scaled down to an apparel-only event. So within the studio, in the same event, there were two announcements. There were multiple, but just take these two announcements, and they were Ubisoft based announcements, and even within that same period afterwards, Ubisoft goes ahead and in a sense delays and in one sense cancels what is going to be coming out. If you look at it, to me, it seems like there probably is a more corporate wide mandate to have actually scaled back these content releases or video game releases, or even to call them, for reasons that, you know, we can't necessarily understand. When you look at it that way, and you come down again and you start looking at other Ubisoft titles that pretty much got huge delays over the course of the year, like the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Quarantine. And then you go to other games within the industry from other big publishers as well. Hogwarts Legacy, which is actually going to be published by Warner Brothers Games. You go and look at Sony games. You look at Destiny. This Destiny DLC, I'm not really aware of its timeline. You look at Halo Infinite, which is also a big, huge Microsoft publication. You look at New World, which got delayed. And you look at Returnal, which was supposed to be coming out March 19th, but has now received a delay of April 30th. And then most anticipated, in a sense, whether you want to play the game or not, you want to see how it turns out. Outriders being an April 1st release now after, I think, 2 delays. One from the end of last year, then to February this year or so, and then now to April 1st. So overall, what is going on? Can we, in a sense, say, based on what we're seeing overall in the gaming industry with delays, which seem to be developing a pattern, can we, in a sense, extract a small hypothesis or a small theory that perhaps Ubisoft and Massive are probably being affected from whatever ghost of game development delay is haunting the industry? I think the answer is probably. I think the answer, it is a high likelihood that this is, the answer to the question that we have regarding this. And so if the content's going to be coming down the road, I think the answer, is basically, well, go ahead and just wait for the content. If you're not going to be playing the Division until then, that's perfectly fine. In fact, one of the best things that happens to you as a Division agent is knowing exactly when to take a break. Sometimes it may be something like this that gives you the, kind of that umph that you need to basically take a break, go explore and enjoy other games. Even though you may not enjoy them to the extent that you have enjoyed some of the aspects of the Division, go ahead and play them. One thing that you will be very shocked and surprised to find out is how many Division agents have hours in games that they don't tell you about. If my content creators are here, if you can please represent and help me with this one, and just pretty much tell this community how many other games you play and games that you've basically been playing even while the Division was released, and games that you've logged in some significant amount of time. I believe it will help provide some perspective, because yes, we may come here and make your Division content, but do not be fooled. We are perusing our libraries, playing whatever the heck we want in private, because to be honest, to cover a video game is a very challenging enterprise. To play and cover it is twice the work. So we cover a game that we understand, yes, number one, number two, we like, and number three, really makes sense to, provide coverage and provide discussion within the community. We probably won't be dabbling into other games and trying to cover them because we just want to actually enjoy a video game that doesn't provide, much complexity, like, working and making builds and all that stuff. And so I think that's one thing that the community can basically harp on in this season. But then another question will also go, now that Ubisoft Annecy has basically received this delay, what are they going to be doing with their time? Other Ubisoft studios that basically work on these projects, what are they doing in the interim? What are they doing in the meantime? When are we going to see a consistent flow of video game releases? And another game that I actually forgot from the list, because this article was written on the 25th of February. And so since then, there have also been another major cancellation. Need for Speed was not cancellation, I should say delay, I'm sorry. Need for Speed was delayed in order for EA to be able to allocate resources from the studio to go and work on their Battlefield 6 game. So I don't know. Maybe, in a sense, we have all enjoyed, some sort of a game release cycle that we've, leveraged or maybe taken for granted. So seeing the reality and the break of supply, I think it may be causing some sort of a rift, and developers, again, like I said, there's not a lot of innovation. So yes, even though they may, in quote, communicate with, their audience, they don't necessarily let us into the production cycle and the production process of making, video games. I think maybe they're trade secrets that they're trying to keep so that they can remain competitive from the other guys. Whatever it may be, I think for a bit, we're going to live in this shadow of darkness. But like I've said before, let's not be fooled. This is the age of the indie developer. Look at Valheim. This is the age of small studios coming in to actually, break the barriers of inefficiencies that the AAA industry, because I feel it's somewhat bloated, has really enjoyed for the longest time. And I think that reality is starting to dawn. But that's a whole nother video for another time. So let's talk later on. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Are you going to keep playing The Division? Is there any game you're going to be playing? Is there any game you recommend for me? And please recommend it nonetheless. Don't worry. Even if I don't cover it, who knows? I may just say, yeah, I want to play it for enjoyment as well. And it may be something that we chat about later down the road. So appreciate you guys very much. Thank you very much for your time and audience. Talk to you soon. Peace out.